Most men will never watch this video because what you're about to discover isn't just uncomfortable. It's the truth women don't want you to know, and it could change everything you thought about attraction. Welcome to Dark Feminine Insights, where we uncover the hidden truths about attraction, desire, and the unspoken dynamics women test in men. Today, we're diving into why women subconsciously beg men not to know certain truths and how understanding them changes everything. Most men completely underestimate the power of emotional signals that women give off every day. It's not about what she says, it's about what she feels, and how that energy shows up in subtle ways. A glance that lingers slightly longer than usual, the tone of her laugh, the way she shifts her weight when you approach. These are all messages, often unconscious, that reveal exactly how she's experiencing you. Men tend to focus on words, on logic, on actions they can clearly see. But women are often communicating on a deeper, emotional level that requires attention, presence, and intuition to pick up. Ignoring these cues isn't just a small mistake. It can completely change how a woman feels about a man, even if he's confident, successful, or charming. These signals are like a hidden language. Missing them is like walking into a conversation blindfolded. Women notice everything. The smallest reaction to a joke, a subtle shift in energy, or the way you respond to silence. They are constantly reading for empathy, attention, and understanding, often testing if you truly get it. Most men fail at this because they treat interactions like transactions instead of emotional exchanges. Learning to recognize, interpret, and respond to these signals is what separates men who are unforgettable from men who are easily forgotten. There are desires and feelings women experience that they rarely speak about, even to themselves, because society teaches them to hide vulnerability or fear judgment. These hidden desires aren't just physical, they're deeply emotional and psychological, tied to connection, trust, and the way they perceive a man's attention. Women often crave understanding, validation, and subtle recognition of their inner world, but they can't always voice it directly. Instead, they communicate indirectly, through body language, energy, and small tests to see if a man notices or responds correctly. Men often mistake these cues for casual behavior or friendliness, completely missing the deeper meaning. When a woman subconsciously senses that a man gets her unspoken desires, it creates a magnetic pull, a sense of safety and attraction that's hard to resist. On the other hand, if those desires are ignored, dismissed, or misunderstood, it can trigger frustration, distance, and even quiet resentment. These hidden needs are rarely discussed openly because women want men to discover them naturally, without needing to spell them out. Understanding that these unspoken desires exist and learning to tune into them is a powerful way for men to connect on a deeper level, creating trust and emotional intimacy that goes far beyond surface-level interactions. Women subconsciously test men all the time, even in ways that seem small or insignificant. It isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about assessing whether a man is reliable, attentive, and emotionally tuned in. These tests can take many forms: a question about a personal preference, a subtle shift in tone, or observing how a man reacts to a minor challenge or discomfort. The purpose is simple: to see if he notices, understands, and responds in a way that aligns with her emotional world. Men often miss these tests because they focus on obvious behaviors, thinking attraction is only about charm, looks, or words. When a man fails a subtle test, ignoring a clue, missing a signal, or reacting without thought, it sends a message to her that he may not be capable of deeper understanding or emotional support. Conversely, when a man passes these tests, even unconsciously, it creates a strong sense of connection, trust, desire. These moments aren't about perfection, they're about attention, awareness, and the ability to meet her emotionally where she is. Recognizing that these tests are happening and learning how to respond naturally without overthinking is one of the most powerful ways a man can build respect, attraction, and emotional intimacy that lasts. Every action, word, or expression carries a psychological weight that most men overlook, but women notice instantly. Certain gestures, tones, or ways of interacting act as triggers. They can either draw a woman closer or create subtle distance without her even saying a word. For example, a soft, confident tone can trigger trust and comfort, while impatience or distraction can trigger doubt or withdrawal. Women's brains are wired to pick up these nuances because they signal whether a man is attuned, reliable, and emotionally present. These triggers aren't about manipulation. They're about perception and resonance. A joke that lands perfectly, a pause at the right moment, or a small act of attentiveness can make a man unforgettable. On the flip side, ignoring these subtle cues or responding clumsily can activate a woman's protective instincts, making her hesitant or closed off. Most men fail because they underestimate the impact of subtle behavior and overestimate the importance of overt actions like words or material gestures. Understanding psychological triggers means recognizing that attraction and connection are created in layers, often below the surface, and that small, conscious adjustments in energy, timing, and responsiveness can dramatically change the way a woman experiences a man, often before she even realizes why she feels drawn to him. Not understanding these subtle emotional and behavioral signals comes with real consequences. When men ignore or misinterpret the cues women give, it leads to miscommunication, frustration, and missed opportunities for genuine connection. Women often pick up on intentions, energy, and emotional alignment before men even realize they're sending messages, which means a lack of awareness can make a man seem distant, careless, or untrustworthy without him saying or doing anything wrong. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present and attentive. Small mistakes, a tone of voice that feels dismissive, a gesture that seems inattentive, or missing a tiny signal can silently push a woman away, sometimes permanently. Men who fail to understand these dynamics often wonder why their efforts, charm, or accomplishments aren't enough to maintain interest, never realizing the problem lies in the emotional gap between what's expressed and what's perceived. On the other hand, men who learn to recognize and respond appropriately gain a powerful advantage. They create connection, trust, and attraction effortlessly because they operate on the level women are truly communicating, emotionally and psychologically. Missing this understanding isn't just a minor error. It can quietly sabotage relationships, leaving men confused and women hesitant simply because the unspoken rules of emotional perception weren't noticed or respected. Women respond far more to emotional resonance than to logic, which is something most men completely underestimate. It doesn't matter how convincing an argument is, how impressive a man's achievements are, or how perfectly he follows social rules. If the emotional connection isn't there, it won't register deeply. Women feel energy, attention, and intention before they process words consciously. So even small mismatches in tone, timing, or presence can create subtle disinterest or tension. This is why they often beg men not to see certain truths, because awareness of these emotional dynamics exposes the rawness of attraction, desire, and connection in ways that feel vulnerable and unpredictable. Men who ignore this are operating on the wrong level entirely, treating interactions as logic-based exchanges instead of layered emotional experiences. On the other hand, men who understand emotional resonance, how to match energy, notice mood shifts, and respond with subtle cues can create deep, lasting attraction without saying much at all. Emotional attunement becomes a language itself, far more powerful than charm, persuasion, or status. Women subconsciously test this constantly, seeking alignment, empathy, and presence. And when a man can provide it, the bond strengthens naturally. Missing this dynamic often leads to confusion, frustration, and a sense that something doesn't click, even when all external factors seem right. Now you know why women subconsciously beg men not to see certain truths. The hidden signals, the unspoken tests, and the emotional layers that most men completely miss. Understanding these dynamics isn't about playing games. It's about awareness, presence, and connection. The men who notice, who respond with subtle attentiveness, and who truly tune into these hidden cues become unforgettable. Most men will continue missing these signals, but the ones who learn to read them gain a power that goes far beyond charm or status. Keep paying attention, stay present, and notice the invisible patterns, because once you do, everything changes. If you found this insight valuable, hit that like button, subscribe to Dark Feminine Insights for more hidden truths about attraction, and drop the word shadow in the comments to show you understand the power behind these secrets.